What's going on, everybody? I have Aaron here with me today. And what'd you do today, Aaron?
I got top 4 at the Baton Rouge Regional with Labrynth, the furniture version.
Gotcha. You have any shout outs today?
Yeah, shout out to my sponsor, Steel Fox Games, for helping me go to all the regionals that I go to. Shout out my channel, of course, Top Tier Gaming YGO, if you want to check out. I'll be doing another profile on this a little more in depth, so if you want to check that out, feel free.
We'll put the link in the description.
And then also shout out Jamal for like the only testing I had IRL with this deck before the event, where he beat me like 4 times in a row. So,
are you? That's just cap. We played like 4 matches.
We played fun games. Those were
fun games.
And now we're in a restaurant doing the profile because we didn't do it at the venue.
Sure. Yeah, they're kicking us out.
Burger time.
All right, so ready?
Burger for the boys.
All right, so starting off with the Labrynth package, we're playing 3 Lady, of course, because she's just like one of your better boss monsters. Easily special summonable too, so she's not like a brick in hand. And she can like also get you to your engine relatively easily. Then we have the 1 Lovely. Honestly, like the best and worst card in the deck. You really don't want to draw this card, but she provides the engine an actual interrupt, which is something a lot of the other cards can't necessarily do. And she's also good follow-up, and her effect, where your opponent can't activate monster effects in response, can like play around Bella and things. So she's a really powerful card, even though she is just terrible to draw. Then I am on 3 Ariana, and I think in like the trap version you probably just play 2 of this, but in the furniture version where you're focusing a little more on engine, I think 3 is really good, and it was fine for me. There's like a couple of cards that conflict a little bit with seeing like too many of this, but yeah, I enjoyed having engine all the time, so 3 Ariana was really good. And then for the furnitures, I'm on 3 Stovey and 2 Chandragalier. I was on 3 and 3 because they're almost the same card. Stovey is better, just because it's level 2 and special summons itself, which is like quite relevant for Chaos Angel. So like I'd rather see Stovey than Chandragalier, but I wanted to fit another spot and keep my list at 40, so I ended up just cutting this down to 2. And I'll explain which card I put in over this. And then I played 1 Kuklok, which, like, Kuklok is probably the best card in the deck when he's actually like working, because he allows you to just keep activating traps that you set that turn. The issue is if you draw him, like by himself, he does nothing, unlike cards like Stovey and Chandragalier that are starters. So I didn't want to draw this card like super often, and like definitely not in multiples, and once you see 1, you can just loop it forever. So I just played 1 Kuklok, and I'm pretty fine with that. I don't think I'd want to change that. Some lists are on like 3, 3, and 3, but there was just a lot of non-engine I wanted to play, so this is what I ran for furnitures. And then we go on to the Labrynth spells and traps. We have the 1 Labrynth. This is again something I think you need to play in the furniture build, just because you are relying more on like your engine. And this, similar to Lovely, just like gives the engine like a way to have interrupts by itself. So this card was crazy all day. Every time I had it, it was very solid for me. 3 Big Welcome and 3 Welcome. These are like your starter traps. They're both very solid in different ways, but like I would make the argument Big Welcome is just infinitely better. Like this card is actually insane, just because it lets Lovely and other cards proc, which is great. Welcome's insane for follow-up though, so you really want to have like a good amount of like both of these. There was like a time I was on 2 of this, but I just decided to play the 3rd over more furniture stuff, so yeah, and Big Welcome is just an insane card. Then we have 3 Pot of Extravagance. This card, I like this one over Prosperity in this list because like you don't necessarily need the best card in your top 6 cards when you're running the furniture, because you don't really care if both are just like okay, because as long as the furniture is discarding something with like some value, it's pretty good. And I think like you can also sack with this into 2 good cards unlike Prosperity. And your extra deck doesn't matter too much, so you don't really care what gets banished. I think with furniture, Extravagance is just a little better, but you could definitely make an argument for Prosperity as well. And then I played 1 Called by the Grave because Ash Blossom is a nightmare for this deck. I didn't resolve this all day, but I mean, in theory it stops Ash Blossom, so I like it. Then for like the only actual traps I play that aren't like engine traps or imperm, I play 1 Punishment, 1 Terrors of the Overroot, and then 1 Eradicator. This was a last minute addition that I actually played over the 2nd Kuklok. It's really good against the Cash matchup, which I thought I was a little weak into. So I wanted to add something else. Like Cash was just a bad matchup for me in testing. So I added the Terrors, and it was pretty good all day. I actually liked all of these, and Eradicator was definitely insane. Like, I had some really good Eradicators all day. And you're fine playing just one of each of these because Lovely can reset them, and you can recycle your engine pretty easily. And then for the best part of the deck was the hand traps. Like, these just definitely hard carried. Gamma's really good because you are weak to Ash Blossom, and like you can hit Ash on Extrav and your Welcome traps, obviously, and it makes this card very powerful. You can also do things with Big Welcome where you bounce like the driver back to your hand so you can reuse Gammas. And yeah, Gamma was really solid all day. And then 3 Droll, which was definitely the MVP. This card won me at least 2 or 3 matches by itself. It was just insane. Like, it just does so much work. My Super Heavy Samurai opponent, I opened 2 game 1. And he just couldn't play for 2 turns. It was quite good. And then I played 3 Nibiru, which like isn't great this format for a lot of decks, but it's really good in this deck because of the way it interacts with the furniture. And also this card was great for me in most of my matchups. Like, I was able to make my opponent sort of play into it with other interrupts. And this card was just really solid. I nibbed like 4 or 5 people and it won me the game every time. It was a really great card. And then 3 Imperm, and I'm not playing Ash Blossom and the other low impact. I just decided to play with Imperm because not only is it a hand trap, it can also sort of like be engine. It can help Lady find other trap cards. You can reset this off Lovely, you can set it off Lady. It being a normal trap makes it like more valuable than being just a hand trap, so yeah, I really liked Imperm.
So what, 12 traps in the total?
So yeah, it's 12 total traps. But like 3 of them are Imperm, 6 are Welcomes, and then there's 3 like actual traps, it feels like.
You didn't miss any of the other traps realistically?
I was playing Skill Drain for a while, but like I needed to fit more of like the actual good traps like Punishment that can reset my engine. Because I was having an issue with Skill Drain where if my engine got broken, like it was hard to get back into the game sometimes, even with Skill Drain. So, and I wanted to fit Called by the Grave because Ash was just destroying me.
Yeah,
so
most definitely.
I think there's still a reason to play Skill Drain in the main or side. I just didn't for this event.
Hey, yeah,
So,
understandable.
for the extra deck, I'll go through this relatively quickly as I didn't make most of these. So you have Excel and Baron just in case you game on your own turn, but it didn't come up for me. 2 Chaos Angel, because you can make this relatively easy, and it's Fiend, so you don't get locked out of it. You can't get the light effect unless you have Gamma, but you usually just get the dark effect. This also didn't get summoned all day. And then the only card that actually got summoned were the 2 Muckraker. This card, I might recommend playing 3 of it just because it's the only thing I ever make. And you don't want it all to get banished by either Cash or Extravagance, so yeah, maybe there's a reason to run 3 of this, but this was the only thing I actually made. Then you have Phoenix. This can come up for like Floodgates and stuff. It's just a link to Fiend. Lambda, just because you have Gamma and you have free spots, so might as well. Although I did potentially want to run a Lingering Bow just in case I got Ibleed, but luckily that didn't come up either. 2 Underworld Goddess for Pearly and like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and things that are just really hard to out. And I'm only playing 2 because of like Cash and Extrav, because when this does come up, it's really important to have. Even though, again, I didn't make this all day. And then the next 5 slots are just punishment targets. So we have the Double Natisse, the Bucephalus, and the Garura, and 1 Aggregator, which is mostly for like Fluanderees, and then these are just like general use. I didn't miss like Omega or what's the new one, Molong? I don't think I had space for that, so I didn't play it either. But yeah. For the side deck, I played 3 Shifter because your deck can play with this card relatively easy, and it's just like a turn skip versus decks like Super Heavy Samurai. Any deck that really relies on the graveyard. I sided it in once all day, and it was versus Super Heavy, and I didn't draw it, but I would still play this. 3 Gamma Seal, just for like Pearly's a really tough matchup for this deck in my opinion, so this is for that, but also of course for a Rise Heart. And it's just like a really good go second card because it's going to do something in like every matchup just about, even if it's like low impact. And you can like bounce it with your own Big Welcome and like reuse it in like certain game states, so that's pretty cool. Then I played 5 Bestials, which is a lot, but I really like the Bestials in this deck because how they work with Big Welcome and like you can recycle them. It's very cool. Also, like this was for not only like the mirror match, but Math Mech and Branded and like potentially Tearlaments or Drytron, decks like those. I sided in these against Branded and it was good, but I still lost that game. It was my only loss. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you need to play 5 of these, maybe just 4 with Druid Swarm, like, and you can replace this for something. I don't know exactly what that would be as of now, but I don't think you need 5 Bystials. And then all the other cards are just like go first cards, 1 a pointer. Didn't see it all day, but you can tutor this out with your engine really easy, so it's really strong. Deck Devi was the craziest card in my Super Heavy Samurai match. I discarded 11 cards with this because they have the like synchro that draws. So I was able to get like a lot of value off of my Deck Devi, and this is just like an FTK versus Super Heavy a lot of the times. It's also good versus Sprite and like Flunder and decks like that. So it only got sided in once, but it was very good. 1D barrier for Sword Soul, Branded, decks like that. And these are just like general use go first cards. They're all accessible through your engine, so they're easy 1-ofs. Although you could argue for like multiple D barrier potentially because it's just really good. And then 1 Secret Barrel. This should definitely be like Ultra for Tribute, but I didn't have it, so I played this. It didn't come up all day, so I'm glad to report that I never had to actually like use this card, but you know, it's there.
And what's it do?
So it burns the opponent for 200 life points for each card on their field and hand. So yeah, it does some burn damage. It's pretty solid.
Hey, well, that's pretty good. Well, thank you for the profile and congrats on 3rd place, boss.
Thank you.